the streaming as well. Again, I think as in a flight, the flight attendant says, please tie your seatbelts. Like that, I will say, please turn on your video feeds if you can. It will be much easier to interact. Hariom. Hariom. Namaste, Shobhaji also. Namaste. All right, let us begin with the invocation. Hariom. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhe Bhavatu Me Sada Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hariom. Yes. Yes. Can some Hariom ji, Hariom Sharda ji, Hariom Jayam ji, Hariom Shrikant ji, Hariom everybody. Yes. Can we begin? Anybody can recollect what is it that we have seen last? Yes.
एखादं पेन देऊ शकतेस का?
Yes. Can someone recollect? Yes, Badrinaran ji, most welcome. Please feel free to unmute. Yes. A link has to be formed. Yes, please. Yes, Badrinaran ji.
Someone who has allowed himself to be trapped in desire.
Okay.
Self is the greatest enemy.
Okay. All right. Okay, the inner self. We have a friend inside. I'm sorry, I think I muted you by mistake, Badrinaran ji. Please unmute. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Hello?
Could you please repeat?
Yeah, one who has conquered the desires or who has control over the desires, the
Okay.
self, the inner self is his greatest friend.
Okay.
And one who has lost control or who is not able to control his desires, the inner self is his greatest enemy.
Okay, sir. That was one important shloka. We just did look at it. I'll just 1 minute before I come back to you, Badrinaran ji, for a moment. Yes. So this is a riddle Krishna posed where the self is the self's greatest friend and also self is the greatest enemy. So inside of us, we have a friend sitting when we are able to control the pull of lower nature. Many times our desires, our vasanas, whether physical, mental, emotional, so many. Sometimes even spiritual desires also pull us into a lower consciousness. So whatever desire, if somebody is able to control that and not go astray from the path, that time you can say you have a friend inside. And when is it the enemy? When you begin to convince yourself that there is no divine inside of you only. Many times doubts come inside of us. We feel, no, what is this? I was sitting in dhyana. I had such a horrible thought, or I am not at all a spiritual person. I have no divinity inside of me. I am incapable. I am weak. Well, all these thoughts of self-depreciation, when they come inside, you can understand that there is an enemy inside. And what do we do when the enemy is inside? We have to chuck that enemy out. Do not associate yourself with your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts come and go. So that is very important. One important point. Yes, Badrinaran ji, please continue. Sorry for interrupting. Please continue. Yes, sir. Yes, Deepak.
Hello. Also experience peace, whether heat or cold, and whether honor or dishonor. Honor does not elate him, or dishonor does not make him sink in sorrow.
Yes. Okay.
This is how he is stable.
Yes, sir. So that yogi is not getting carried away, by praise, or not getting broken by insult. He is looking at both with balance. All right. Somebody else would like to add to what Badrinaran ji has shared? Please feel free to unmute. Yes, Om Prakash ji. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, normally the one who can control or cage his desires cannot be manipulated.
Absolutely. Desires are weakness in relationships also. If you are not bound by them, you are free in a free relationship, you are not going to be manipulated. Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
Yeah, and even the yogi rises through karma only.
Yes.
So, and about self, Mr. Badrinaran also has talked about it, so I don't repeat it.
Ji.
And also an example of clay, gold, and stone was shared.
Treating as oneness, whether it's
Oneness,
clay
oneness.
has its value, where it has to
Yeah.
be used. Same way, stone also, and gold
And
also.
gold also.
Yes, absolutely. Treating it with oneness. Nobody should be able to lure us by showing us gold and do wrong things. There was once there was a riot in Bangalore, and one lady was caught because of the CCTV cameras. She was part of this mob which was burning buses and properties. Later on, it was understood that she was promised that she would get a biryani plate. For that, she just burnt a bus. Just look at that. Lakhs of rupees of damage. For what? She sold herself for just her desire for a particular food. So this is what happens when we are allowing our desires. We get too excited. Gold, sometimes, yes, you can appreciate gold, but that should not be. Many times we see in social circles, this person is having so much gold, this person is having no gold, or that is nothing. It is not a status symbol. It has its value. Accept it. Do not reject it also. Krishna is not saying gold is evil, but remember the story of Midas. Gold is not everything as well. Everything has its point. Yes, sir. Please continue, Ji. Yes,
And
Ji.
everybody has a talent or a divine in
Yes,
himself.
Ji.
So he has to
Ji.
find it and he has to explore that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, Ji. So
Yeah,
this
that's
is what.
I wanted to add.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So this was one thing. Then not just objects. Krishna takes it one more step. He takes it to people also. So in people, he says friends and enemies. Friends means we see our friends, we suddenly get excited and happy, and all those moments come. Enemy, we see the enemy even from a distance, we get angry. Oh no, I saw this person. Today my day is going to go bad. Instead of that, Krishna is saying a yogi is able to treat both of them with oneness. This is something which has to be experienced. Many times in our attachments, we allow wrong things to flourish into our friends also, and then we not only spoil our friends, we also are not true to our friendship. A true friend should always point out wrong. Sometimes it's better to have a friend who is pointing out your mistakes than somebody who is just praising you. So Krishna is talking about that balance among friends and enemies also. Then he goes on. He says, also those Shakuni mamas, those people in our who want to just sow a discord between people. There are always people like that. They have been there from ancient times. It is not something to be suddenly disturbed. Why is my life like this? Or look at that person. That person is pure evil. He's always getting a pleasure in disturbing or destroying my relationship with somebody else. I don't think we should allow ourselves to get so disturbed over somebody. There are people like that. Or if somebody is indifferent, many times you feel, why did this person not help me? I fell down and yet I had helped that person, but now that person is not helping me back. It may sound very simple, but sometimes this creates such great frustration, palpitation. So many things happen inside because people are not able to come to terms. So this is also the indifferent also, those who are trying to create fights between you and others or who are spreading rumors, them also you have to treat with oneness. And there is also a third type, the indifferent nearest, meaning you want somebody to be close to you, but that person does not reciprocate or doesn't feel like that. I think that is the most difficult and painful thing, and that creates a lot of disturbance in people. People are never able to accept. Sometimes they get crazy in infatuation also because then this is not reciprocated. We hear in the news one person murdered somebody, one person hurt somebody. How can someone hurt somebody whom they love? So it is not love, it is a distortion. It's a distortion because of desires. One must understand that even the indifferent nearest also, we must understand to take it with a balance, whether people praise, whether people criticize. The holy saint or the wretched sinner, meaning even if it's a saint or a sinner, understand on the inside the Brahman is there. Brahman is inside the beggar also and inside a king also. Why are you going to discriminate or distinguish on the outside? If you have to learn something from Brahman, you can learn it from here also or from anywhere else. So in the inside, you must understand all are one is what Krishna is saying, because somebody who is able to see this is the one who is going to progress and go ahead on the path. Now here we stopped in the next shloka where Krishna again talked about dhyana. It is very interesting that Krishna is teaching or speaking about dhyana right in the middle of the battlefield. Meaning, meditation is required for anybody wherever they are. It is not only for those people who are not going to do any work or who want to simply sit. And it's not like that. A lot of people have a wrong conception of meditation. There is something called becoming conscious while you are doing your action also. My teacher had talked about dynamic meditation is practiced by many in the Sri Aurobindo ashram. Meaning when they are doing activities also, they are able to be conscious. With their eyes open also, you are able to meditate. When you are doing a work, let that art become a meditation. Sometimes even the Surya Namaskar, which is done by a person, that becomes an offering. What is that Namaskar to? For the Supreme Surya. What are you connecting with? Are you connecting with the physical sun? Or you are connecting with the great Savita Surya, who is the nourisher of all life forms, the supreme energy. So this aspect, Krishna is saying meditation is important. He is telling it to Arjuna. And he says, for this, Arjuna, devote time. He said, seclude yourself, take some time out. I think we all like to enjoy, we all like to go with our friends, we all like to hang out, we like to go to some beautiful place. But sometimes we should understand that the best quality time that you can give to yourself is by observing yourself, going inside. This will also help you improve your relationship with others. It is not for leaving other people. It is when you become conscious. Won't it be beautiful if a person realizes that, yes, I have these good qualities, but I also have some bad qualities and I want to remove them. If you remove that, you will become even better. What is divine? Divine is something which is what we can say too good. What is something? What is a human? It is a human perception, isn't it? Divinity. Human perceives something which is extra or suprahuman, and we call it divine. The best player is called a god. I think in India we worship cricket. So the one player Sachin Tendulkar was called God, isn't it? What is the difference? His height is this much only. His voice is different. No, the way he played and what sadhana he did, the way he carried himself, the perfection that he reached, made him reach that stage. So dhyana is required for us for our everyday life as well. Let us continue. Krishna says, immerse your mind into that supreme self. In that solitude, mind and body will come in your control. Free of desire, you should meditate upon the soul. So he's talked about the sthana. It is important. You need to have a place for meditation, is what Krishna is saying. Not just sometimes we are not like just going from one place to another. Today I meditated on the sofa, tomorrow I'll meditate on the chair, day after tomorrow I'll meditate under the table. What is the use? One place should be there, one place where you are doing dhyana. Let us see the next shloka. Krishna is describing the how should that place be? He says, Shujau deshe pratisthapya stiramasana matmanaha natyuchritam nati nicham tailajina kushottaram. For this, a pure and clean place should be assigned. Krishna is not fussy. He's not saying you need to have a meditation room. He's just saying a pure and clean place should be assigned. Can someone tell me what is a pure place? A pure and clean place. Can you describe it according to you? What is it? Anyone?
Hello. Pure
Yes,
means
Jivadinanji. Yes.
where there are no disturbances, or where there is a lot of positivity, where you can sit and calmly meditate.
What would
I
you
think-
play? What kind of place would you call that, Padinanji? For you, what is your place which you feel
A
as pure?
puja hall, or any
Okay,
corner
all
of a
right.
room which is isolated.
Okay, any corner of a room. That's so wonderful. Puja hall is, yes, it's an auspicious place. But even a very corner of a room also, that is an important point which Padinanji raised. Actually, it is something if you don't have a puja hall, you don't have a puja room, you have a small home, it's okay. One tile in one corner. Keep it clean. Go before you sit for dhyana. Clean that place where you are going to sit. Krishna is saying. He says, for this, a pure and clean place should be assigned. A position neither too high nor too low he may find. Meaning, don't sit so high. You don't have to be in a steady position, not too high. Suddenly, I am the king of the world. I am now having the entire control. I am now like I am having control over the grahas also. That is how I do dhyana. No, let us get back into the on the what we can say. Let us remain steady, not too high to have too lofty thoughts, or not too low to just depreciate yourself unnecessarily. Stay balanced in a good place, which is neither too high nor too low. So Krishna is again not specifying these many centimeters above sea level or these many meters above sea. He's not talking about it. Whether you are in a plateau or whether you are at a hill station or whether you are in a what we can say any other place also, Krishna is not really worried about that, but he's telling identify a place, let there be a place. If you don't have a big room, okay, find your tile. Many times when students are sharing rooms, it is very difficult because one room is shared and then that room is not just shared by two students because people come in, so many people come in. If anybody has lived in a hostel with friends, especially in college, even day scholars come and spoil the place. Well, whatever it is, keep yourself, try to keep one tile for your meditation. It's okay if people have walked over it with slippers or shoes. Before you sit, at least clean it. Let that act of consciously consecrating that place. You do that, do that. And this is all Krishna is saying. Pure and clean place. Meditating steadfast on the self, he must assume his seat. He says a seat is required. Now, this is interesting. Why do we need a seat for meditation? Can't we do without a seat? Has anybody watched, I think, in the Panchatantra tales or in, I think, so many stories of yogis, do they meditate on a seat? Anybody? Yes. Have you seen it? Have you seen or heard or watched in this movie? Yes, please. Please unmute. What do you have to say about the seat? Yes, Deepaliji. Yes.
Vyagrajin or Mrugajin is
Okay, Vyagra. Okay, that is right. A deer skin or a tiger skin. So all these yogis, they appear to be sitting on some seat. Now, many times wonder what is the reason. Yes, please. Anybody?
Normally, it is said that you should not get in touch with the earth.
For the earth. I think
Directly.
in I think electrical engineering also there is earthing, isn't it, Tom
Yeah.
Prakashji? What does that do? If just in a short, what does earthing do?
Gravitational pull, it pulls all your energy.
Okay, gravitation pull, all right. But one more thing is discharging takes place, isn't it, for electrical
Discharging,
circuits? So we are now trying to charge ourselves or increase our charge. So one side we are charging, why should we discharge? So at least for that reason.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, so that is something which Krishna is saying.
Whatever energy we are getting through that meditation,
Yes.
it should not get drained.
Absolutely. There was some science behind it. What is it? Is energy coming? Is it not? I think that a lot of people are doing clinical trials also on the same thing. They study the different brainwave patterns. They look at so many other aspects. But let's not get into it. Yes, a seat is required. But how do we get the seat? I think Deepaliji told deer skin or Viagra skin. I don't think it will be possible. If we do that, we'll probably have a seat in jail only. So that's not possible. What is Krishna saying? Let us see the next line he talks about it. Here, Krishna talks about made of deer skin. Unless we want to go to jail, I think this is out of our option. Made of deer skin, kusha grass. Kusha grass or darbha. Is this possible in today's day and age? Yes or not? Why not? I think you just check online, you will find it. Nowadays, people are having ready-made kusha grass seeds also. Darbha also mats are available. So this is just a grass which is considered to be very pious and holy. And it's also very beautiful and comfortable. If you just try to sit and do dhyana on it, definitely, it has its own effect. So there is kusha grass. But Krishna is not fussy. He doesn't have a particular factory which is making kusha grass and he has some commission. No, he's not recommending for that. Kusha grass or a natural cloth sheet, or an ordinary cloth. If you don't have all of this, he's saying just clean place, sit steadily, neither too high nor too low. There, have a seat. Let that seat be made of either a kusha grass or a cloth. Simple, a cloth sheet. I'll not go into the deer skin because I don't want to propagate that also. Otherwise, animal rights activists will come and get my neck only for that. So let us continue. We go to the 12th, next shloka, 12th shloka. Tatraikagram manaha kritva yata chittendriya upavishyasane yujyat yogam atma vishuddhaye. Before I enter into this shloka, see, we already saw one technique of meditation. Can someone, just for the sake of revision, for those who have not heard it in our class, could you just share, anyone, if you can just tell in a minute, can you share how it needs to be done? First technique which Krishna talked about. Anybody? Anyone? Yes, please. Please unmute and we can.
Concentrate.
Bhagavad,
at
somebody
the-
else who has not spoken yet, you will just try today. Yes, Ji? Are you? Yes, anybody else? Yes, please. Okay, Akhilesh Ji, of course. Yes, please. Please feel free to unmute.
I think the essence of the technique is to do pranayam. So you breathe in equally and then you breathe exhale for the same amount of time.
Yeah, the time, and if we breathe in for say 2 seconds, exhalation should be 2 seconds, isn't it? There's no specification that breathing in time should be, that has not been specified, right, by Krishna?
No.
No. Okay. So inhalation and exhalation, equalize that, and focusing at this point between the eyebrows. Focusing at this point, it's sometimes difficult. Akhilesh ji, have you tried that, and would you like to share your experience of doing that? Did you have no thoughts, or did you have thoughts, or something like that? Yes?
I mean, at the start there were thoughts, but I
Then-
found that the more I focused there, everything
Okay.
just seems to go away, and then
Okay.
there's like a sweet sense of calm that you can get.
Oh, that's
after.
wonderful. Okay, so afterwards the thoughts are subsiding. Anybody felt it was very difficult wrestling with the thoughts? That was my own personal experience actually when I started. So many thoughts continuously coming in. I don't want to think. That is also a thought. One more voice tells me. So how do I take that thought out? And the wrestling was just going on. Luckily, my teacher had told do acting, so I did some acting. That was a different thing. But anybody else? Yes, Ji.
Mine was running like a monkey race.
Rekha ji is saying, okay, lots of thoughts coming in. And that is true actually. It happens. It happens when we sit for dhyana many times. And it has a lot of factors also. Means we have other factors of our life going on, and suddenly we remember works. Maybe we remember works which we had never thought of before also. And correctly when we sit for meditation only, oh no, I should have done this. Now should I do that? No, I'm going to meditate right now. I used to think that there is something crawling on my forehead or on my nose. I need to itch myself. But no, these were all troublesome thoughts which were there. So what do we do? Well, this is a beautiful technique. The second one, thoughtlessness of the Gita, with na kinchit api chintayet. You will immediately get this state of zero thought also. Let us look at it. There is a technique like that. Krishna is sharing it here. The shloka was the 12th one. Tatraikagram mana kritva yata chittendriya kriyaha upavishyasane yunjad yogam atma vishuddhaye. There, with a single-minded devotion that is firm, with his mind, a control over senses he must affirm. On his asana, the seat deeply absorbed in meditation, he must engage in his whole being's integral purification. First, when you are sitting on your asana, consciously understand that you are not just doing nothing. You are actually raising your consciousness. You are trying to purify yourself as you enter deeper into that meditation. And next shloka, Krishna talks about the technique. First is make a conscious effort when you sit. Become conscious of what you are doing. I am here. Many times it's very nice to hear different bhajans, whichever you like, or sometimes some people like some nature's music, or sometimes somebody likes just flute. It's up to you. Get that, what we can say, conducive state for yourself. And then comes the next part. Samam kaya shirogrivam dharayan nachalam stiraha sampreksha nasikagram swam dishaschana malokayan. Keeping the body, neck, head erect and immobile. So here Krishna says, sit erect, let all be in one line. The head, the neck, the body, the spine, all let it be in a straight line. That's what Krishna is saying. Erect and immobile. A stable position he must take in this style. So he's telling, take a stable position, whichever position you are comfortable with. If you are very flexible and you can sit in Padmasana, nothing better. But if you cannot, well, Sukhasana. If you can't fold your legs also, no problem. Sit on your chair as comfortably as you can. Remember to be steady, Krishna is saying. Head, neck, and what we can say, spine, all erect, without his mind or eyes glancing in any other direction. So when you are doing that, as you are sitting, don't look everywhere. Forget everything else for that particular moment. And to help better, Krishna says, on the nose's tip, we must focus his attention at the tip of the nose. It's called the Nasikagra Dhyana. Focusing at that point, which is on the tip of the nose. Can we just try it for a few seconds? I will not say minutes. You will understand why not minutes. But let us say for 20 seconds only, we are going to sit erect. All the head, the neck, the back, all of it in an erect and comfortable position. No strain. Let us just slowly, just instead of closing our eyes, let us keep our eyes open and focus on this tip of the nose. Hari Om. Hari Om. Yes. So was this very easy, or what was your experience? We just did it for 20 seconds, a few seconds only. Anybody? Yes,
My head was
Badinaran ji,
spinning.
anyone? Yes, Rekha ji, all right. Yes,
My
ji?
head was
Easy,
spinning.
easy.
Your head was spinning. Okay, Rekha ji says her head was spinning. Okay, that is also a correct experience. Badinaran ji,
Yeah, it was okay. It was easy.
it
Not
was
difficult.
easy. Okay, Badinaran ji
Yeah.
says it was easy. That is
20 seconds.
interesting.
20 seconds manageable. 20 seconds
Manageable. Okay, manageable. All right.
Short duration,
Yes.
only 20 seconds.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
because
does,
it was 20 seconds. Maybe it
it
would
does
have
give you a
become.
sensation
Yes.
between the eyebrows. It gives the sensation of not pain, like
Okay.
irritation, but
Okay.
it helps in getting your thoughts out because you're so
Okay,
focused on
so
that irritation.
Shivaji said it created a bit of irritation, but somewhere the problem of wrestling with thoughts disappeared because thoughts were not coming. Yes, Akhilesh ji was sharing something. Yes,
I was just going to share the same thing that I felt a sensation in the middle.
in the
of
middle of the eyebrows.
Yes.
And thoughts, were there any thoughts?
No,
Absolutely nothing.
like
Yes.
even though my eyes were open, I just wasn't able to think of anything else.
Wasn't, yes, yes. This is actually very special because many times thoughts trouble us. Yes, Om Prakash ji wants to share something. Yes, ji.
Yeah, eyes got little watery after some time.
Eyes were watering. All
Eyes
right.
got watering.
Yes, yes.
And
Yes. Yes. So why we did it for, yes, sir, please continue. Yes,
but
ji.
the thoughts were, I mean, what thoughts you used to come when you are
Yeah.
concentrating with eyes closed, those thoughts don't come when you are, seeing the tip of the
Absolutely.
nose.
Absolutely. Actually, this is something very interesting because many times our thoughts are not in our control. Thoughts come. I remember when like I told you before, I got very disturbed from a friend. I got a very bad news, very unexpected news. I felt like I've been backstabbed by my good friend of many years. That created an influx of thoughts. So many thoughts. It felt like there was fire coming out of my eyes. I was like, how did this happen? Or I was not able to accept it. But suddenly, when I started doing dhyana, because I felt there's no other option now, I have to become quiet. Otherwise, I'll not even be able to sleep at night. That night, I just before going to sleep, and for me, sleeping is a important activity, at least before it restores a lot of energy for the next day. So then I started doing this dhyana. The first technique which we saw Krishna has talked about is very comfortable, very relaxed. It doesn't create any sort of strain. But there is a problem with thoughts. It does come, they come in the way. It is not very easy, very few and rare it is that you are able to have no thoughts during that time. So this other technique is very good in immediately negating the thoughts. Means, of course, this need not be done with your eyes open all the time. You can just open for a few moments, open your eyes, and then close it again. If the thoughts are troubling, again open your eyes. slowly close it again, because Krishna does not want his followers to have squint eyes. He wants them to have no thoughts. That is all his aim is. So this technique is just for keeping our thoughts out of the way. Maybe you can even, some have suggested that, and personally I have also liked it. You can use a little bit of what we can say in India, we like doing khichdi. So little bit of this, little bit of that. Sometimes this technique for some time, and then go back if thoughts are not troubling, and then experience that shanti and ananda which comes from the first technique. So this is what Krishna has talked about. Two interesting techniques, and they come so quickly that it's like blink and a miss. But they are very, very, what we can say, potent. They have a lot of what potential for transformation also. So this is what Krishna has talked about. Let us go on, and we will not hear any more dhyana techniques in the Gita. That is all Krishna has shared. Krishna goes on. Prashantatma vigatabhir brahmachari vrate sthitaha manah sanyamya matchitto yukta asita matparaha. With a peaceful mind that is without fear, the woe of celibacy he must bear. He must seek with his mind firmly in his control a merger into my consciousness as a whole. So Krishna is saying, a mind that is peaceful without any fear, the woe of celibacy that person must bear. He must seek with his mind firmly in his control a merger into my consciousness. When you are doing this dhyana, seek that. I want to become that one with the divine. Soham asmi, aham brahmasmi, or all these different, these are mahavakyas where a person tries to recognize that there is a divine inside. But big question comes now, has Krishna suddenly negated all our aspiration of sadhana by saying we must have this brahmachari vrata or celibacy, meaning if you have married, you cannot do dhyana? What is the logic inside of this that Krishna is saying? When you are doing dhyana, you must have this brahmachari sthiti inside. Yes. What is this brahmacharya vrata which Krishna is talking about? Has he suddenly, because he started saying that you can, even a householder can receive the same knowledge and wisdom of that of a sannyasi. And suddenly, what is this? Anybody would like to tell me what could be the rationale here? Anyone? Yes, Shivaji. Yes, sir.
During dhyana, you should at least try and control your thoughts and forget desires and,
Absolutely. When you are doing dhyana, that time, have your thoughts in your control. Just imagine when you are doing meditation that you are yourself, not getting carried away by vasanas, not getting carried away by other karma, other desires, which they keep coming. Well, at least during dhyana, go into that state. Try to understand there is something which is higher, which can be realized. So he talks about this. He goes on further. He says, Yunjanevam sadatmanam yogi niyata manasaha shantim nirvana paramam matsthamam adhigachati. Towards the self, directing and channeling the mind. Always in yoga, that being when you find the supreme peace attains he with the nirvana of Brahma that is founded in me. So Krishna says Brahma Nirvana can also be experienced by that yogi who is doing that meditation. So it's actually beautiful. The experiences are endless. So many people have done meditation, and it is a practical lived experience of so many people. If we do not ourselves, we say, I don't believe anybody. Well, you get your experience. You will write something new. Why do we have to look at those mahavakyas which have already been told? Maybe you will make your own mahavakya. It is like how to go into it. It's just so many, that dharana is important on the inside. When you go inside, that there is a divine inside of me. Paramatmaham, parat paroham, kevaloham. It is so beautifully said. Satyam jnana dhanam, praptam parama sukham. So many such words, so many brilliant realizations are there, which you have to. Means it is so beautiful. There's before the Nirvana Shatakam, there is a Dharana mantra also, where they say, Svena swasmin swayam brahma sve mahimni swano bhutam. I am only Brahma, that is inside of me, that realization. Well, it is not just some intellectual realization. It is a realization that must come from the heart center only on the inside. For that, I think you need to get that. That's all Krishna is talking about. Krishna goes on. Natyashnatastu yogosti na chaikantam manashnataha na jati swapnashilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. For the first time, Krishna says the path of yoga is barred for some people. So far, Krishna is like, come walk on this path of yoga. Arjuna, everybody can walk. It's a path which everybody will ultimately walk. It's a simple path. It's a good path. All this Krishna was saying. Suddenly, this shloka, he says, "Oh Arjuna, understand this yoga's way, and to whom this path is barred, I verily say. It is certainly not for him who in sleep and food indulges." So simple as that. Somebody who is just getting carried away by laziness or is just continuously driven by the desires of what we can say gluttony, always feeling like consuming something. Well, not that person, because many times food also, it is so important. It is something which is, if you see our physical body is the last place of transformation, isn't it? Mind can get transformed. Where sometimes mind can get transformed just like that. But physical body, if the body is what they call sthula or very, it's like heavy. And if you have just transformed your body by eating a wrong diet, can you participate in sports then? It's very difficult. You will not be able to. Your body has already got transformed. Then there are weight categories also in certain sports. If you are not in this category, you will not be able to participate in that sport at all. Just like that, Krishna is saying somebody who is not taking any effort, who is just allowing laziness to creep inside, who is just gorging food and yes, I am Brahma, let me eat the best food all the time. No, where will realization come? You are going to be trapped in what is the consciousness of the food only. Yes, somebody wants to add something? Is it? No. Let us continue then. All right. So this is what Krishna says. So it is not for him who in sleep and food indulges, and also not for he who rigidly renounces both urges. Meaning, even if you are considering this is wrong and having a full rigid renunciation also, that person also cannot walk on this path. It's like what we can say, it's a very subtle path. You shouldn't have hatred also. You shouldn't have desire also. Desire for objects and things also, that also should not be there. And also you shouldn't be in a position where you are stretching yourself more than required. It is exactly, I think yogasana also is something like that only, isn't it? Balance. When you do a particular asana, you don't have to stretch yourself more than required. Each person has a different capacity. If you stretch more than required, you're going to end up injuring yourself. And if you don't do anything, you'll have no value. It's like, I do only Shavasana. So what flexibility is going to improve after that? Maximum I will prepare for myself in the last stage. Beyond that asana will not help me if I'm not doing any other asanas. But if I do that, understand, consciously relax my muscles, participate in a proper way, not do it out of laziness, then it's very, because I had a friend of mine who said, I do a lot of yogasana. And when I told what asanas, he started saying Vajrasan, Shavasana, all the asanas which are not requiring much of energy at all. And he was being humorous, but he was not being sincere at all. Well, Krishna is telling the same thing. If you're not sincere, you're not going to be able to ascend. You're not going to be able to transform your life. You're not going to be able to experience the joy of a divine life if you are just allowing laziness to creep in. And also, if you are going to rigidly renounce the urges, human beings will have feelings. You can't crush your feelings. In the name of sadhana, Krishna does not want stones. He does not want stones at all. People are people. People have emotions. Sadhana is for controlling them, not for crushing them. Krishna goes on. Yukta hara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnava bodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkhaha. All sorrows begin to cease and disappear when the state of yoga approaches near. So all types of sorrow disappears. Many times actually it is so simple, even when you are doing some physical, in yogasana when it is done, basically yoga means union, asana is exercise for reaching that union, But yogasana also, what the guru tells or the teacher says, he says, while doing this, don't trouble yourself. You be relaxed. You understand your limit of your body and then go ahead. Something like that. Yukta hara vihara. Krishna says, as you go closer to that stage, sorrow starts disappearing. Imagine from our life if sorrow disappears. How many of us want sorrow in our life? Can someone raise their hands and tell me who wants sorrow in life? Nobody, isn't it? We don't want sorrow. We want to come out of that and we feel like, what is this? How much sorrow keeps coming from all directions? Well, if you are in a state of yoga, this sorrow will start disappearing, Krishna is saying. And I've seen a lot of people who are not sorrowful despite having things which will make sometimes even the most cheerful of persons sorrowful. Well, you can say then that person is a yogi because that person has succeeded in throwing sorrow out of the life. Where Krishna says, as the person goes there, sorrow begins to disappear. Wherein the sleep, awakening, and food is in regulation and works too when the mind engages in regulated action. Yukta hara vihara means action is regulated. Damleji had shared one very nice experience of his with his guru. He would stay with his guru. When he was an executive, also afterwards he would go and work. So in the night time also, one day he was working when his guru just entered. And a difference in guru's age and him was not too much. And there would not be too many dialogues also, just few words. But in those few words, so much would get conveyed. So he just came and his guru would also call him Damleji only. So while Damleji was working continuously in the evening, he just came, looked at him, nice, said, Damleji, काम बंद करना भी आना चाहिए. That was the one line he said. You must learn to close the work of the day also. That's all he said and just walked away without telling him to stop his work also. But suddenly he just stopped doing his work and felt, yes, this is so important. We work and when is work going to get over? It's never going to get over, isn't it? Every day it's going to happen. You'll have work. It will go on. But when you do it in a proper manner, just like how you started, learn to complete that day's work. So you are going to be refreshed. Many times in the corporate sector, people try to, very recently one particular organization, they even locked the gate, locked the door of the this office so that a person does not leave. Because they wanted them to work at that particular extra late time till then we will not open the gate also. Now what's going to happen? Well, the organization, the senior management, all of them apologized and said this was regrettable behavior because everybody knows that you cannot extract work from people like that continuously. Maybe 1 day, 2 day you get people like in our factory also. Sometimes we have extra work, we have to give overtime. When we go overtime, then we give a celebration off day also. The moment the order is completed, because everybody must understand there should be a regulation. If we decide to delay the order dispatch also, it's fine. But we cannot extract more. So this is something, yukta hara vihara, because ultimately it is bad in the long run. Sadhana also, I do brilliant sadhana, I'll do 5 hours dhyan. And then for 5 years, I don't do dhyan only. What's the use? Instead, doing 10 minutes, 5 minutes every day for 5 years will give me more productivity than 1 day's 5-hour dhyana itself. But with a regulation, so Krishna is talking about that here, that such a person, he does his actions, his food is also regulated, his sleep is also regulated. And as he goes on, he reaches the state of yoga. And as he goes, one of the, what we can say, lakshanas is slowly sorrow disappears from that person's life. Difficulties will not leave. Every human being will have difficulties. We will face challenges. But how we face the challenge makes a lot of difference in everything. It makes actually an entire difference is made by that only. A yogi is able to do that. Krishna goes on, Yada viniyatam chittam atmani eva vatisthate nispruhaha sarvakamebhyo yukta ityujjate tada. When the mind and the intellect have perfectly converged in the state of the self, they have truly merged. When from all forms of desire he is liberated, the state of union or yoga, he is said to have attained. So mana and buddhi, mind and intellect, both become one. There is no duality, there is no fight going on inside. Mind is also risen, Mind has understood that, yes, I have this binding with my lower indriyas, so I want to become a springboard for jumping into the next state of consciousness. The buddhi also is awakened. That person has become one. Krishna is saying the state of self, they have truly merged. All forms of desires, he's liberated. The state of union or yoga is said to have attained. Krishna goes on, he says, Yatha Deepo Nivatastho Nengate Sopama Spruta Yogino Yatachittasya Yunjato Yoga Matmanapam. Like the light of the lamp that burns with a steady face, motionless and still, in a windless place, so too is the mind of the yogi, of the awakened self, he who has consciously attained mastery over himself. So Krishna says it is like that. The example he gives of a lamp in a windless place, when there's no wind blowing, how steady that lamp is. I think that is also a beautiful way of meditation. Swami Vivekananda has talked about. Just watch the flame of a lamp, which is not flickering. And your mind also, the thoughts also will stop flickering as you keep watching, consciously focusing on it. Well, the yogi's mind is like that lamp, Krishna is saying, which is not going to be disturbed by the wind. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati. Where the mind is tamed by a disciplined will, by the awakened knowledge, it is purified and still. And the awakened being perceives the self by the self's gnosis, thus dwelling in the contented state of the supreme bliss. So this is something interesting. The self is able to understand by the realization of the self. Meaning what? Well, first thing is the mind has become disciplined. How has that mind become disciplined? By an inner will. The person has decided, I will do this sadhana. I will control my thoughts. I will not be a slave of my lower nature. Then, by that awakened knowledge, that person becomes purified, meaning the heart becomes clear. It's like such a person's inner conscience is like a mirror. It is so clear and crystal clear, and in that mirror only Krishna's reflection is, you can see it there. You can see the divine reflection. That's what Krishna is talking about. The awakening takes place, and because of that clarity of thought, that person gets a clarity of understanding also that enters into such a person. And what does that person do? Well, that person is blissful. He is in that state of Ananda. As Tukaram had said, Ananda Chidohi, Ananda Taranga. The entire Ananda is only there when you get that clarity. I think this is very important in our life also. You just realize what you are doing. I think you can even celebrate what a wonderful day it is, or just happily you can celebrate what a nice moment. Each moment you can start celebrating in that clarity when it comes to you. You can be, but when will that happen? When the fight inside is going to be completed, when you are no more attached to things on the outside. That is the point which Krishna is talking about. Let us continue. 21st shloka. Sukham atyantikam tat yat tad buddhir grahya matindriyam veti yatra nachaivayam sthitat chalati tatvatah. When the infinitely blissful self's truth is thus known, perceived beyond the domain that the senses can own, the yogi is established firmly in the awakened state. From the origins divine, such a being does not deviate. Means the yogi has risen beyond his consciousness, and he's going to experience a whole new world which is beyond the domain of the mind also. That is, there is a domain Krishna is talking about. And the yogi has got that awakening when he reaches there. Excuse me. Yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tataha yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. This is the gain of gains, the greatest treasure. Nothing is greater or even comparable in measure when that unperturbed state is thoroughly gained, even by the worst grief one can't be disturbed or pained. Krishna says this is the ultimate gain. There is nothing that is even comparable or equal. When the state is going to be reached, no news can become a bad news or cause a disturbance. Sometimes you hear something and then plate falls from the hand, or oh no, what has happened? Oh, suddenly my world has come collapsing. I don't think this reaction will help solve any problem, isn't it? So the yogi has got into that quiet state where even the worst news does not create a full disturbance inside of that person. He is not being, what we can say, pained by that, or is not suffering. That is very important. Krishna goes on. Actually, even physical, not just emotional pain. Sometimes yogis are able to turn off even physical pain. That is really, which is very difficult. Medical science is yet to fully understand how that happens. They still rely heavily on anesthetics only for numbing the senses. But if you see, anybody knows of any yogi who had turned off pain? Yes, Dipali ji? Yes, please. Please unmute ji.
Raman Maharshi ji.
Ramana Maharshi, isn't it? He was operated upon.
Yes.
He was operated. He said, don't give me
Don't
anesthesia.
give me.
It is crazy. How can somebody do that? And that too, he got operated because of his shishyas. He didn't want to get operated also. He said, I will want to get a particular treatment. I will follow this method, which I know. But everybody, no, this is too much. This has to be operated. This is too, it was, I think, a tumor which was growing. This had to be removed. And while his treatment was going on, it came again, it was operated. And during that time, one more person, one sadhak or one seeker came to take his blessings. He had the same trouble. And Ramana Maharshi told him, go do this treatment, it will help you. That person got cured also. But here he himself went through all of it. But the doctor was afraid initially and he said, I cannot do this without anesthesia. He said, no, it will not hurt me. Even now, it isn't documented actually. So not just this, a yogi is able to turn not just physical pain also, emotional as well. Well, Krishna goes on, tam vidyad dukkha sanyoga viyogam yoga sangitam sa nishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvana chetasa. It is from the sufferings that the mind has to be freed. A union with the divine is yoga's true aim and need. An inseparable union is to be courageously sought, cheerfully bracing the hurdles by which the path is wrought. So Krishna says, why do you have to do sadhana? It is for this only, for freeing yourself from suffering. That does not mean a yogi will not feel any pain at all, because pain is a universal language, isn't it? All of us, one language which even if we speak different mother tongues, we all understand pain because we feel it sometime or the other. And this is one thing which is universal. It is so difficult. Everyone has that experience sometime or the other. Nobody can say, I don't feel it. Everybody, physical, mental, emotional. It's a big journey, so many different. But why should you do sadhana? Is to remove the suffering aspect of it. When the suffering angle attaches to pain, it becomes horrible, it becomes compounded, it becomes magnified. So sadhana is for going into a state where you are going to, what is I think Jagjit Singh's ghazal, isn't it? Tum itna jo muskura rahe ho, kya gham hai jisko chupa rahe ho. Well, a healer is like that only. What does a healer do? Healer is not somebody who doesn't get any trouble. Look at, we saw Ramana Maharshi's case also. Many times they themselves bear the pain, but they're able to not suffer and hence they are able to do something even in those difficult moments. That is so important. Krishna says it is for freeing ourselves from suffering. That mind has to be freed from suffering. I had a fever when I was just in my final year of college, and it was in that fever I imagined my MSc program is, I have got admission, I am going to that college, there I am being discriminated against, there I am being troubled, or nothing has happened. And because I was in that rush of applying to various colleges, and in my fever, I was visualizing things and I really complicated things. My mother got very worried because I was suffering a lot in my fever. In my half sleepy state, temperature was very high, and in that I'm visualizing and seeing what we can call them hallucinations only. So what has happened? What should I have done is, I could have probably just, now I'm not well. Let me go where, if I have to go, I'll go to prison also. Let me go to prison after I become all right. Right now, just let me focus on the medication. Let the doctor's medicine do work on me. Let me at least participate as a neutral observer. But instead of that, when many times doctors also say, I'm giving you this medicine, but this will not be very helpful if you are going to trouble yourself with these thoughts. Forget it, become cool. Even medicine for hypertension, they say, don't take tension. Now, what is the meaning of don't take? Who's giving tension? Is it some object? Medicines can be given, but it is a state of mind. So Krishna is saying sadhana is for freeing or removing suffering out of our life. Simplest need. Why should I do yogasan? Why should I do yoga? Why should I try to become one with the divine? Why should I realize the higher purpose of the divine inside of my life? Well, just because I want to become free from the suffering which comes from ignorance. That is the simplest reason why we should raise our consciousness. An inseparable union must be courageously sought, cheerfully bracing the hurdles by which the path is wrought. My question is the spiritual path, if at all there is something called a spiritual path which is different. Why do we need courage here to recognize the divine, to understand the divine? Anybody? Can you tell me courage? And Krishna says, cheerfully brace the hurdles. There are so many pitfalls, but why courage? Yes, Badinaranji. Yes, sir.
See, we can get discouraged on the path of spirituality when we get troubles. And
Yes.
we might leave the option of getting the union with the self, and we might drop out. So that is why we should have the courage to consistently go ahead in spite of all the problems that we face, thinking that the union with the divine is going to take care of all the problems.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Perfectly said. Absolutely. So this is the truth. Because what is it? First thing we are being told, have detachment. Don't have expect returns. Everything we expect return. We do something, we want something in return. And here for the spiritual path, you are asking us to have faith. Have faith in whom? In a God we cannot see. I have not seen that God. I have not experienced the God's presence. Before seeing, before experiencing, I am supposed to have faith. What is this? And I was getting happiness from my desires. I was getting happiness, maybe not a full happiness. It was creating side effects, all that apart. At least I was holding on to something. Now I'm not supposed to hold on. What is the meaning of this? Look at all those other people. They look happier. They're not having this trouble. That's the first part. On the first steps, they feel like, oh my God, what a useless path this is. I have to let go. What is this? I'm not supposed to get angry. Everybody's provoking me and I'm supposed to sit and smile. What is the meaning of this? All these thoughts come in. Initially, it appears troublesome. But when a person crosses that threshold, then suddenly that path doesn't look so bad. It suddenly starts looking so special, so beautiful. Everything. There's something called serendipity. Anybody has heard of this word? Yes? Serendipity? Yes? Anyone? A list of things happening in a fortunate way, one after the other. You suddenly dots, we also begin to connect. All right, and now I understood why I fell that day. If I had not fallen, I would not have gone there. Thank God I fell that way. Also, people say, I have had a friend of mine. She had acute myeloid leukemia, and she said, I'm blessed I had cancer. I cannot believe this kind of reaction anytime. Badinaranji, yes, you want to add something?
Yeah,
Yes.
I did not follow this. What is that word you said?
Serendipity. Serendipity
Surrender?
is an English word, of course. I'll message it in the group later on.
Yes, spelling I wanted. Okay,
Yes,
thank
yes.
you.
I'll message it. Absolutely. So it's about how one after the other things which are happening in succession, which are leading to something higher and something nice. Well, that is what you realize. Later on, you see all the dots connecting as you walk ahead on the path. So, but initial stages, you need that. You need to have that, what we can say, courage to take the step, to take that leap, a leap of faith. It needs to be taken, Krishna says, and cheerfully accept whatever hurdle comes on the path. Krishna goes on. Sankalpa prabhavan kamans tyaktva sarva nasheshatah Manasaivendriyagramam vinayamya samantataha. Originating from the thoughts, the desires of every kind must be dispelled and banished from the mind. The senses that scatter the thoughts must be in control, held from dispersing to their whims. The mind must be withheld. So we're just completing, we'll just see two more shlokas. So here Krishna says, originating from the thoughts, desires, because desires come from thoughts only. I see something, then I start thinking about it, then oh, I should also have this, or this should come to me at some time or the other. So Krishna says, stop these desires which are coming out of the thoughts. Dispel them, banish them, because the senses that are scattering the thoughts, control them. It's like gather your consciousness, it is said. Otherwise, it will get scattered. At any one time also, even if you are chasing after desire, how many desires can you chase at one time? Only one, isn't it? Even that will know, there's no guarantee chasing it will give that to you. It will be fulfilled. Or you will get ananda after getting that desire. So something like that, Krishna is just saying, stop scattering to all these thoughts from dispersing to the whims. Otherwise, what's going to happen? It's like a boat without a rudder. Wind is blowing this side, the boat goes left, then it goes right just because the wind is blowing, and it's absolutely at the mercy of the wind. Such a person in the boat cannot choose the path. The path is just going to, what we can say, go on its own only. It's ever left, right. There's no going to be a proper way. So control is what Krishna is saying. Two more shlokas. We're going to stop here. Shanai hi shanai ruparamed buddhya dhriti grihitaya atma sanstham manah kritva na kinchidapi chintayet. This is the shloka. Krishna talks about the yogi. He is having no thoughts at all. Absolutely zero thoughts. Step by step, one must gradually turn inwards. It's not going to happen overnight. Don't expect it to also. It will not happen just like that. Sometimes it will take time. For some people, it happens fast. Some people, it happens slow. It doesn't matter. And on the spiritual path, it is not 1 + 1 = 2. There can be exponential progress suddenly also. One need not think, see, that person has done such a beautiful dhyana. That person is always like this. I am not having any scope. I don't have that inner mental prowess. There's nothing. It is driven by the divine. Sadhana is driven by the divine. Somebody who's choosing the divine is also chosen by the divine only in the first place. So what we need to see is one by one, take a step. Think step by step, one must gradually turn inwards and think of nothing else that is outwards. With the intelligence focused in concentration, one must engage in the self's meditation. So Krishna is talking about meditation. He's saying it's required. And when Krishna says something, there are many reasons behind it also, which probably we should experience. We should connect those dots and find out why. Yato yato nishcharati manaschanchala mastiram tatastato niyamyaitad Atmani eva vasham nayet. Krishna says this is every time, every single time the mind goes astray. This is going to happen. Why is it going to happen? Because the mind is chanchal, isn't it? The mind is that which is always going to just run around. It's like my mind can now travel across the world in thoughts just like that. It doesn't need any visa. It doesn't need any passport. It will go just like that even without my control. So Krishna says, every time it goes away, don't get disturbed. Oh no, I started thinking. No, it's all right. Every time when the mind goes astray, becoming unsteady, when it begins to sway, the mind must be reined in and secured, and the consciousness of the self must be reassured. Means it's all right, thoughts will go away. But every time they go, don't get participating in it and go running away with those thoughts. Instead, tell the thoughts, no, I don't want to go there. Say one Hari Om or some mantra which you believe and come back. Come back. You don't want to go into those thoughts. This is not just for meditation also. Even when you're not meditating, sometimes our mind goes elsewhere while we are doing some work. That time, remind yourself, this is what I'm doing. One just example I'll think of and I'll conclude. In our factory outside of, it's a village industry, there are lots of cattle we can see, and one person goes looking after the cattle. His job is just to ensure that the cattle graze properly. Basically, that is something cattle will do on their own. But it is an important job that he has to allow the cattle to graze, but not go elsewhere. So what he does is he allows the thoughts, sometimes the cattle like thoughts, to move around a little bit. They go around. But the moment he sees they are going out of control or going elsewhere, he raises his stick and shouts in his own Tamil language and he says, hike, hike, and he brings them back. He reminds who is the boss. He tells them, come back inside. And they also listen. Something like that. When we are doing dhyana, Krishna is saying, go in slowly, it's going to happen. Mind will go here, there. But when it goes away, remind your mind, no, come back, and go into dhyana. This is what Krishna is saying. I have absolutely no idea how Arjuna is going to take all this, what Krishna is saying. Though what Krishna is saying is very practical for us in our life. 2 techniques he has shared. He will not talk about dhyana anymore in the Gita. But this is also sufficient if we have never meditated or we don't engage in meditation. Let us start. That is one thing we will think of. Just start your own way, find your own way. You don't have to prescribe to somebody's different method. Krishna has already given some guidance, and just what we can say is meditation is important to control your mind. It is important for all reasons. Whether you are looking at a spiritual life, whether you are looking at corporate life, whether personal, interpersonal relationship also. If your mind is not in your control, your thoughts are not in your control, anybody can manipulate you. But if you are in control, you can observe. With observation, nobody can lie to you also. You will be able to understand, you will see, you will observe, why is this person sweating? Why is this eye moving this particular way? While speaking, I have my doubt. Why? When you are conscious, you will be able to understand. So many body languages, things, everything is there. Not just in sadhana also. In everyday life, practical life, becoming alert is important. At least for that purpose, if we do want to have a concrete, solid, practical purpose, only then we'll meditate. It's okay, I don't believe in Krishna. I don't want to listen just because Krishna has said, I will do only if it is going to give me something in return. Well, even for that reason, dhyana is important. So we have seen 2 techniques. It will be interesting to see what Arjuna is going to say. We will see that. I will not ask much now. We have already got Arjuna's report card. Arjuna is a good student. He immediately shows his report card directly. So we will see. Krishna is going to be told. Krishna gave some beautiful examples of the wind. He said, Yogi's mind is like that of a lamp in a windless place. Previously, he has talked about a boat without a rudder. That is how a disturbed person is, whose mind is not in control. It is at the mercy of the wind. Arjuna is going to speak something related to the wind. Let us see whether he is going to agree with Krishna, or they say Guru ki vidya Guru ko. Is he going to use the wind example to disprove what Krishna is only telling? Let us see. We will stop here with the Shanti mantra. Any queries, anything you wish to ask, you are most welcome after the mantra. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramayaha. Sarve bhadrani pashyanto. Ma kaschet dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tat Sat. Krishna Mande Jagat Guru. Hari Om. Namaste ji. Hari Om. Thank you everyone.
Hari Om Shishit ji.
Hari Om ji. Namaste. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Hari Om.
Hari Om
Hari Om.
Shishit.
Hari Om, Hari
Namaste
Om.
ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om,
Hari Om.
Shishrit ji, Badri Narayan.
Namaste.
Hari
Namaste.
Om.
Hari Om ji.
Namaste.
Any queries?
Hari Om.
Most welcome. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Namaste ji. Hari Om. If any queries, welcome.
Yeah. In
Yeah,
shloka
Rekha ji.
19, we discussed that the mind becomes more disciplined when
Yeah.
person sets a heart on it, and ananda comes when clarity is there in person's mind.
Yes.
When there is clarity in mind, what about the heart? The heart wants something, whereas the mind knows. At times we feel like, you have to listen to the heart, because logically the heart might be right, the mind might be wrong.
Okay.
It can be
Yes,
vice
Rekha
versa
ji.
as well.
If you just look at the 18th shloka, no? Mana and Buddhi are becoming one,
One.
isn't it?
Yes.
Rekha ji.
Yes.
So it is like the
Yes.
heart and mind, Dvandva is disappeared. What is in the heart is also in the mind. no more difference is taking place in that consciousness. It will come in the 18th Adhyay also, that when the heart and mind become one, all battles are over. Krishna will tell Arjuna.
Okay, because in my previous classes, that's what I thought. The heart and the mind is one and the same. So when we were emphasizing on the mind, then I was wondering, what about the heart then? Like,
Yes,
because
yes.
you were, that was my doubt. Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
I mean, the Gita, as if you see the level, mind is actually, means there are indriyas, there is a level of the indriyas, means our senses. If you see sensual, as a human being, we have our senses, isn't it? So there is something higher than the senses is the mind. Senses include emotions also which come in. No? When we hear something, when we see something, we start getting attached to those senses. That attachment comes from the mind only to the senses. So that mana, and then mana is going to control the senses. But mind also is not everything. Mind has its own limitations. That is where we realize that there is something more than the mind. We can call it heart. I had made a mistake of asking in a group, group of very, what we can say, learned people. I said, what is the difference now between the heart and the mind? And where is the mind? Is it in the brain? The neurologist in that group said it is in the brain only, because you have neurons. Neurons will help you think. I was like, sir, then there are neurons in the heart also. Then can we say the mind is in the heart? And then he did not respond. So I said, then what about the gut? There are neurons also. Enteric nervous system is there in the gut also. Then can we
That was the
say
next question, actually.
their mind is in the gut? Because children will say their mind is in the stomach. Mommy, I'm hungry. That's all. End of story. They'll start crying. They'll start wailing. The moment they get what they like, there's a big smile on their face. Then I was told, don't ask such kind of questions in that group. So then I complied to the rules of the group. No more did I ask philosophical questions. They had a different aspiration in that group. They wanted to share some important forwards. So that was what happened. But the question is, mind and heart, they're not so different actually. And for the yogi, it is one. There is no fight. Because otherwise, mind will tell one thing, heart will say, no, no, you did what is mine. And many people gave logic, you should follow your heart. What is the heart then? Is it just your emotions? Or there is something, there is a higher self which is bigger than our emotions? Because many times people use heart as a equivalent for feelings, isn't it, Rekhaji?
Yes, yes,
But sometimes our feelings take us away also, isn't it?
yes,
Somebody manipulates our feelings because they understand our emotional weakness. Then can we
exactly.
say following our heart is good? No, then it becomes our biggest problem. Then I should have listened to the mind. Then there's the biggest question: mind, heart, mind, heart. Then it will never end that battle. Instead, oneness will happen when that consciousness rises. You realize it. Yes, ji.
Okay, can I come to my next question?
Okay, ji. All right. Yes, ji.
Okay, so the heart and mind is the same. I agree to it now.
They
And I've
can
always
become
understood.
one. They have to become one. When the yogi, for a
Yeah.
yogi, he has raised his level. So there is no fight inside.
Yes. So let's assume this is X. Heart and mind is X. There is
Okay.
a Y factor. The Y
There is,
factor is something which is, I can say, like what general people say as gut feeling, or I could say it as more conscious.
yes, we can call it divinity, higher something. Yes.
Higher
Individual.
consciousness or divinity.
Okay.
Yeah, keep it in a thing. So is X equivalent to Y now?
No,
Or Y
no,
is
no. Y. No, Y is higher only. So X will have to rise and become one with Y also, because already like heart and mind have become one, no? Now that
so it
X will
becomes a
also have
race
to be.
now all the time. See, I know,
Yes.
like I'll say it as an example. I know that something is happening and I know I'm not supposed to do it. Like, for example, touching fire.
Yeah.
You want to touch the fire, but you know it is your heart and mind as one. So it is dangerous. You shouldn't touch it. But something above me says it's better to move it.
Okay.
In spite of it, when you touch it, you're going to get yourself hurt.
Okay.
Whether that in that situation, whether Y is high or X is high.
No, but Y and X now, these variables that you have introduced, in the light of the Gita, we see the shloka very nicely talking about Indriyanam Paranyahur, Indriyabhya Param Manaha, Manasastu Para Buddhi, Yo Buddhe Paratastu Saha. Meaning there is something even higher than what you are calling why, no? That is the supreme most. Because here what
That's
will
my
happen
higher
is
consciousness
that
or
is
divinity.
that higher consciousness, buddhi is there, means the awakened intelligence, you can say. Your awakened intelligence is saying, no, beyond this logic of my mind also there is something. Let me do that. But what
Yes.
happens once or twice, awakened intelligence may work, but it cannot always work to you because your limitations are there, no? So the awakened intelligence also must understand that there is one more step which is higher. But I think you have quite understood what you have said. Higher than that is, there is something higher. We shouldn't, otherwise we get trapped. Sometimes people have once or twice, they get some good higher feeling and then I have metacognitive skills. I am having clairvoyance, all these things come in, but that is again attachment only, which a person gets trapped into it.
Yes.
Yes,
Attachment, desire, they can make.
yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
ji.
so much.
Yes, ji. Thank you.
Hari
Ji.
Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Namaste, ji. Hari Om. If this session is all right, can we complete today's session then? Hari Om. Namaste, ji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari
ji.
Om.
Hari Om, ji. Namaste. Hare Krishna.